On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We are live twice a week, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 3 p.m. I am Jacob Volk. You can follow me on Twitter at RealJacobVolk. Sitting across from me, Brandon Johnson, who you can follow on Twitter at StephJohnson_. Dominic Arbolino, who you can follow on Twitter at Darbs5258.
Who is the most active, I could say.
Yes, you are.
A lot.
You do. Yes, you do.
Say that. Sorry.
And Nick Ornberger, who you can follow on Twitter at BListNick.
Nick, I'm going to follow you, man.
Yeah, follow me.
Definitely.
He needs the followers.
I do.
Number to
in
call,
desperate need.
if you have something on your mind, is...
No, I've been doing this for years.
Oh, okay, all right,
it's sad.
516-572-7440. I follow you.
I know you do.
Let's talk about college basketball and the scandal surrounding it. Yesterday, Sean Miller held a press conference where he denied any wrongdoing amidst allegations that he discussed paying DeAndre Ayton $100,000. Nick, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
My thoughts on it are broader than just this situation. It's my thoughts on the entire scouting and recruitment. Recruitment aspect of college football and basketball, respectively. Here's my thing with Sean Miller and coming out, making this press conference, making his return. What else is he going to say? If you're denying it, if you're not guilty, what else are you going to come out and say? Yeah. So, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is I'll tell you what really surprises me is how behind him the school, everybody at that school are getting.
Well, I think part of that is they have to pay him a lot of money if they fire him. They have to pay him more if they fire him than if they keep him.
Absolutely. Now, as far as the whole scandal beyond it, listen, I'm so numb to this in the NCAA, and it is a product of their own issues. When you're giving these kids and you're selling to their parents and you're telling them that you're going to take them to your school and give them a free scholarship and then put their bodies at risk. And I don't care if basketball is a little safer than football. These kids could get hurt, and these kids could be costing themselves a lot of money, especially in basketball. Now that they implemented over the last few years this one and done rule. Think about all these guys. Think about all of these young kids who went in because they had to, blow out their knee, and then cost them millions of dollars they could have been making in the NBA. It is an awful farce, and it's got to stop. Number one, football, I know the rules are different. I understand why that the probabilities of an 18-year-old kid being able to play against 25 and 30-year-old men
they'd get eaten alive.
They'd get eaten alive.
They could go to the XFL.
But my problem is these kids are risking their futures. They're risking their bodies. And this whole thing goes on everywhere. Everybody's all over it at places like Arizona and Louisville. But nobody's mentioning the Alabamas. And nobody's because, we're too good to think that Nick Saban doesn't do this kind of stuff all the time. Why aren't they looking at the biggest top-level programs and they're cracking down on the more mid-level programs? It's because they don't want everyone to know that this is a virus throughout all of the NCAA, and the bigger schools are able to pay the right people to keep these things under wraps.
Nick, I agree with you 100%.
And let's be honest.
I mean, I don't know what to add to that. I'm sorry, Brandon. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just look at the whole situation from a perspective of us. We're college students, right?
Right.
Say if we're so talented. We're not athletes, but say if we're so talented from our area and we have the opportunity to go to college for, a full ride, but at the same time, your parents are struggling. And you know what? You don't want to see your mom or dad back home struggling to pay bills and watch you play football or basketball.
Some of these kids' parents can't keep the lights on.
That's what
they should get paid. I do agree that they should get paid.
You might as well.
Very, very, very hard thing to work out, but I agree. There should be some kind of...
Here's my huge issue, and I'm going to get political here.
Okay.
The FBI had the Florida shooter in their crosshairs, but instead they decided to do nothing and focus on this stupidity. This has been going on for years. FBI, what are you doing? Donald Trump, please Drain the swamp. Get rid of Christopher Ray. He is useless. I know you appointed him, but he is beyond useless. Nick, I'll go back to what I said earlier. I don't know what I can add to what you said.
I'll just add one more thing. And when you're talking about playing players, you're talking about changing a lot of things in the scope of the NCAA, and it's not fair. It needs to change, but it's not fair if you're going to pay basketball and and football players, but you're not going to pay everybody else. There needs to be a standard cap, that everybody gets paid a flat rate, and on top of that, we should be letting these kids go out, talk to advertisers and sponsors, and make money off their name.
Well, these universities make millions upon millions of dollars.
This is the thing. This is a billion-dollar enterprise, and that's just what they show us. If they ever opened their books, God knows how much money they're hiding.
I mean, they can afford state-of-the-art training, state-of-the-art stadiums. They can pay coaches obscene amounts of money.
Absolutely.
They got to draw the line somewhere, and it's right at the athletes. It's right above where it should be.
Absolutely. Let's not worry about screwing kids out of their futures. Let's worry about things like strippers and paying young men to play for your school.
Yeah.
It's insane.
You're 100% right. It happens all the time, and it's just a joke. This whole thing is a joke. I really hope it doesn't overshadow what should be a very fun March Madness. Because, Dominic, I am looking forward to taking you to the Big Ten title game on Sunday.
That was part of my bottom of the ninth, but yes, it's all right.
My apologies.
No, don't worry about it. I have another thing anyways. I always try to make sure I have two, just in case.
Very good. You're listening to Beyond the Game on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We are live twice a week, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 3 p.m. I am Jacob Volk. Sitting across from me, Brandon Johnson, Dominic Arbolino, Nick Ornberger, and the true hockey maven. Tell that other guy can't say that enough, Eleanor Chompy. I am glad that Stan Fischler is retiring. That was going to be part of my bottom of the ninth, but I'll say it now. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Number to call if you have something on your mind is 516-572-7440. And speaking of Eleanor, we do have some hockey stories here. Brandon, give Eleanor that mic. Yep. Come on.
Sure.
Gee whiz, be a gentleman. Let the lady sit. Unbelievable, man. No, it's all good. I'm just messing with you. Eleanor, how are you, my dear?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So the Canucks signed Alex Biega to a 2-year extension worth $1.65 million this year. He has 6 points in 31 games. Eleanor, what are your thoughts on the deal?
I think it's a good signing. It's really not that much money. I think he's a fine player. He's average. He leads the team in block shots, and I think he's good. And he was a captain in the AHL, so he has leadership. He is a veteran. I think it's a great signing for the Canucks.
I agree with you. This was a good move for the Canucks to solidify their top 6. You know what? I kind of like that the Canucks kept guys like Eric Goodbranson, shipped Thomas Vanek out. Mm-hmm. I like what the Canucks are doing. They do have some key pieces there that they can work with.
Canucks are a team to watch.
Yeah.
They are a team to watch. Trevor Linden has a good head on his shoulders.
Do you think about a dark horse team this year for a Stanley Cup run?
I don't know about that.
I don't know if they're there yet.
No, definitely not there yet, but eventually.
I'll say in the next...
I hope they turn it on and just storm.
I'll say in the next 5 years, and we'll see Vancouver.
I would say the dark horse right now is Boston Bruins.
Me too.
100%.
I actually agree with you. I picked the Bruins on Tuesday, and I got heat from it.
You think Vegas has a shot?
Yes.
Like a legit shot?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Their chemistry is just amazing.
Tampa Bay now, too. N.A. McDonough and Miller.
Yeah.
I know you probably talked about that Tuesday, but still,
We taled about 40 minutes of hockey. I'm so sorry that you have a class at that time.
Yeah.
Darn it. Play hooky. Aren't I such a good influence telling people to play hooky? Gee whiz. The Sharks signed Aaron Dell to a 2-year extension worth $3.8 million this year. He's 14-5-3 with a 2.71 GAA and a .912 save percentage. Eleanor, what do you think of the deal?
I think it's such a great deal. He would have been a free agent at the end of the season. I think it was necessary. He's a good backup behind Martin Jones. They're a great tandem right now. It's the right amount of money. I think he has potential to be a number 1 starter one day.
Let me ask you something. If you were Garth Snow, and I know you hate the Islanders, but just answer this from a pure hockey perspective. If you were Garth Snow, would you have wanted to trade for Aaron Dell? Because I said yes.
I would have considered it.
Yeah.
You need to do something.
Oh, my God. And the biggest moves are Chris Wagner and Brandon Davidson. I'm still not over it, Dominic.
Definitely. But, looking at Aaron Dell, I think what's good about them being able to lock him up just for 2 years is that, he obviously was trade bait, this trade deadline. And I think he can be for, honestly, these next 2 years. So I think it's good that, you're able to keep him a good backup goalie for cheap, not too expensive. And then, if you need to ship him at the deadline, you'll be able to do that. You'll definitely have enough, flexibility. The contract's not too crazy, and you're going to be getting a good player. So, anything you ask for, it's pretty reasonable.
And what a head on his shoulders. You hear what he said when people asked him about the deal? He goes, "It's still early in my career. I need to get some more experience and go from there. I wasn't really thinking about it too much, taking it day by day and seeing what happens. I like it here. I love the guys. I love coming to the rink every day. I'm just taking things as they come." I love the head on his shoulders.
I do like Aaron Dell a lot, and I said on Tuesday that I wanted the Islanders to trade for him. Hopefully, it can still happen. This doesn't close the door on him being traded. If anything, it just opens it up a little bit more because they have the draft and the whole offseason to trade him.
Exactly.
So we got about 2 minutes left. It's time for the bottom of the ninth. Brandon, get back on that mic.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, what's going on, buddy?
Well, yeah, shout out to the Houston Rockets. 14 straight games, number one in the Western Conference.
James Harden with that stare down.
Oh my God.
That was unbelievable.
Wow,
great.
yeah, that crossover was nice.
Wesley Johnson.
Yeah.
I haven't seen someone get their ankles that broken
and
in a
they
very
stared at him.
And the disrespect, the stare at him.
Oh, my God.
Dirty.
The disrespect.
Dirty.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
He didn't even care. He was smiling on the floor like, yeah, I deserve that.
That was awesome.
Oh, man.
Dominic?
One, will you see Seattle? Will you see hockey in Seattle? That's one thing.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes, so will I. And then also, one thing, if you're the New York Jets, I heard, that the Honey Badger might be on the trade block. That'd be an interesting thing to go into.
They have Adams in May. Adams in May. I don't want him.
But here's the thing, though. He could play the cornerback position. So if you can try and work that out. LSU, is defensive back university, which would equal the New York Jets. Because then you have Claiborne if you resign him, Adams and Honey Badger.
Yeah, I think
it's
I'd
just
rather.
Me, I'm a kind of LSU fan. I kind of love.
I'd rather go after Malcolm Butler or Trumaine Johnson.
Of course. Yeah.
Or Patrick Robinson, but I think the Eagles are going to re-sign him. Mm-hmm. Nick?
Everyone calm down on Andujar, okay? Just calm down. We want these kids to start their years in the minors. Let's get the extra year out of them. Trust the GM. Trust the process. Let's keep our eyes on the prize, the core nine.
Sounds good. Eleanor?
I just want to say thank you to Penguins GM Jim Rutherford for re-signing Patrick Hornquist to a 5-year contract extension. Yeah. I think he's just as important to the Penguins as Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. So
wow. High praise indeed. So on Tuesday, Beyond the Game will be doing a live show from the Nassau Coliseum. It'll be me, Eric, and Joe. It should be very fun. And say hi if you see us. I would love to talk to you guys. All right. Looks like we're about out of time here on Beyond the Game. For Brandon Johnson, Dominic Arbolino, Nick Ornberger, and the true hockey maven Eleanor Chompy, I am Jacob Volk saying that if you were to invite the 1993 Phillies over to dinner, you'd have to cover your furniture with plastic before they arrive.